Hello and welcome. I am Exit Light and this is my channel. Today I'm going to tell you about a possible victim of a man who is called the Vampire Rapist. Before I get started, if you would please give this video a thumbs up. Also, if you're not subscribed and you would like to be, please do. And if you leave a comment below, that helps my channel, and I try to get back to everybody who leaves comments. So I'm not one of those people that doesn't interact. All right, let's talk about this, shall we? Authorities identified the remains of a Canadian woman whose remains were found in a wooded area in Malabar, Florida. Human remains found in Florida have been linked to a Canadian woman who disappeared more than 40 years ago. The remains of Jeanette Marcotte were discovered in a densely wooded area in Malabar, Florida in January of 1985, the Canadian press has reported. Marcotte vanished without a trace and was last seen in Saskatchewan in 1981 or 1982. Per reports, she was allegedly going to Vancouver, British Columbia, which, as most of us know, is nowhere near Florida. According to the Canadian press, police were unable to identify Marcotte, and she quickly became known as the Malabar Jane Doe. She was finally identified via genetic genealogy per a statement from the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, the Medical Examiner's Office, and Othram, a forensic laboratory. Marcotte's remains were discovered next to another woman, Kimberly Walker, who had previously been identified by her dental records, according to the Winnipeg Sun. Todd Goodyear, a public information officer with the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, told the Canadian press that John Crutchley, known as the Vampire Rapist, was a possible suspect in the deaths of Walker and Marcotte. Goodyear said John Crutchley lived in Malabar. He was suspected of just about anyone we found for a while. Now, whether he did it, who knows? Crutchley was a clean-cut engineer, and he was also a convicted rapist and kidnapper. There was always a theory that it is possible it was Crutchley, Goodyear said. He was very famous at the time. He's called the Vampire Rapist because he would drain the victim's blood and drink it. Crutchley pleaded guilty to kidnapping and sexual battery in 1986 after he abducted a 19-year-old woman and tortured her for 24 hours before she escaped in November of 1985. He was never convicted of murder, but authorities suspect he may have been involved in a number of unsolved killings, according to the Tampa Bay Times. He was released on parole in 1996, but returned to prison 2 years later for a drug conviction. On March 30th, 2002, he was found dead in his cell at Hardy Correctional Institute with a plastic bag over his head. Death investigators concluded he died accidentally from autoerotic asphyxiation, per the Desert News and the Orlando Sentinel. Goodyear said there are many questions surrounding Marcotte's death, including how she died and how she ended up in Florida, and why she ended up in Florida. We don't know why she was here. We still don't know that. And her death is undetermined because, as happens a lot with skeletal remains, a lot of times you can't come up with the cause of death. So, have you heard about the Vampire Rapist? They said that he was very famous at the time, but I don't remember hearing about it. Maybe that's because back in 1985 they didn't have 24/7 news. But very famous. You would think that you would hear about that. I was 17 in 1985. So tell me, have you heard about it? And do you have any thoughts? Any ideas about what happened? If so, go ahead and share them below. Some people might be following this case and know much, much more than I know about this case. And if you can leave details below, that would be great. Thank you for coming to my channel, and good night.